Welcome to the Spectrum Connection, a podcast hosted by Jess
and Elyse. As two mums of neurodivergent kids, we are here to share our experiences, insights, and advice with other parents navigating this unique journey.
Join us as we discuss everything from daily challenges to breakthrough moments, all with a focus on understanding and celebrating neurodivergence.
Hello, everyone. In this episode, we're going to finish off answering your questions from the Neurodivergent Adults episode, previous one. Yep, we're excited. You guys had a lot of questions, so we thought we'd spend the time to actually answer everyone's questions. I think this is an important one or important topic to answer your questions on. And we know that a lot of you guys are going through your own journeys. So we all know the more information we have, the better cures the anxiety that you have or the overthinking that you have of this. So yeah, let's head on in. A question that we had was, what do meltdowns look like for you as an adult? It's a big one.
Interesting one.
Yeah. And one that I still don't know fully I can answer. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a hard one to answer for me anyway, because like as an adult, I think you get, there's an idea of how you should be, like how, and I reflect back on like when I first had my kids and I had those outward meltdowns and because I was so overwhelmed and I had them as a teenager, but now I'm gotten older, they've changed. And I think they're more internal than external. Because I used to be the like big crier, want to throw things, screaming, meltdown. And now I don't do that. And I think it is because of my children. Like I've tried to work out ways to cope better because that's not a very good situation for them to be in. Not that you can control that. Like it just happens, and that guilt and remorse afterwards, like what the hell just happened? I just lost it and I don't even know where that came from. But yeah, now I'm just more of a crier. I think I'll always be a crier. I just cry the drop of a hat when I get overwhelmed. It's just, yeah. And I used to get really bad like pain through my body. I actually was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, but now I've got the autism diagnosis. I kind of think that maybe it wasn't fibro and maybe it's more like sensory overwhelm, because when I was diagnosed with that, I was in early childhood and I had days where like I couldn't get out of bed and I couldn't walk and that kind of thing. But then if I did cry or I did like, it kind of subsided, like I kind of, that pain kind of went away. So I think, yeah, it's probably more sensory overwhelm than it was that, but
that's
I don't know, you can't test for that.
That's so interesting that a lot of, I am doing my own research at the moment on how meltdowns present in different people, because I think when you can't make a sense of it yourself, you sort of look to other people to sort of make sense of it. I look back to my childhood, I had intense stomach aches. And even when I met Jordan, he used to say, like, you're sick a lot. And like, because I used to say, my tummy hurts. And I would just put it down to like either something I ate or, I don't know. But he's like, it's so common. You have it almost every day. And in that time, I was like meeting new people. I was meeting everyone in Jordan's life. I was socializing a lot because that's what you do when you first start dating, I guess. You go and meet everyone's friends and all his family. And that would have been a very overwhelming time for myself. And I think what you just mentioned then of the internalizing of that meltdown, like the shutdown, do you think that's harmful to you? Because I feel like to myself, it has been harmful. Like it's like similar to masking where you're just internalizing it so that other people don't experience what you're experiencing. But is that going to be negatively affecting you? Yeah, my head just goes in so many different places, but
yeah. And I think for me, I get to a point like I do that for so often, and then I get to a certain point that I can't do that anymore. And then it comes outwardly, like I get angry or I'm crying at a drop of a hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, the anger part is what, no one likes to be angry.
No. And it's not in your control. Like,
No.
and that's
No.
what's kind of scary about it, is that you do this thing where you, I don't know, you shout or you get angry. And then afterwards, I literally go to myself, why did you do that? Like, that's not you. I think I don't want to say this about myself, but people often say to me, like, you're not an angry person, you're super calm, you're all these things. And I'm like, you probably haven't seen that part of me because I'm internalizing it and waiting till I get home. And then it comes out.
And it comes out at the people that, that are just being there for you. That's the bit that hurts me. Like afterwards, it's like, oh my God, that's got nothing to do with you, but you were there. So that just, and it's really, I think back before I knew, it was like, oh my God, I'm so toxic or dysfunctional. Like, what is wrong with me? Why am I like this? And now I know that, and for me, a meltdown is like a reset. Like when it like builds and builds and builds and builds until you can't keep it in any longer. It's out. But then once the meltdown's done, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
Like I feel like, oh, I can move on now. I'm like,
clarity.
And you look back and I go, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. But at the same time, it's like, okay, we're good. Let's
I got it
out. The whole like I'm really dysfunctional and toxic mindset comes from, because without knowing that it was a meltdown, you're like, what is like,
And I know I've talked a lot on social media about my anxiety, and it's very hard for me in my brain still to this day to correlate my anxiety to my autism. I still think of those as separate things. Like, that saying they say about autistic people, the first time they learn something, that's the only thing that registers in their brain.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's to everyone, but I'm just saying that's very common. It's like me, like I'm like, oh, that was anxiety, so it can't be a meltdown.
Yeah.
And I've had doctors say that's anxiety. And so I think my brain goes, oh, doctors, they know what they're doing. Do they?
Yeah.
But I used to have a lot of anxiety attacks. I don't know. Like I used to think they were anxiety attacks.
Like panic attacks? Is that what you like? Feeling panicky? Feeling like
I feel like they're not those though. I think they are meltdowns. Whenever I would do the research into what's an anxiety attack, what's a panic attack, I never could really relate to either. I could relate to some traits of both. So then I was like, what is this? Like, and I was trying to clarify it, like that autistic side of me is like trying to like nail it down to one thing, and I couldn't.
Yeah.
And then I spoke to you about these anxiety attacks, and you were like, do you think that these could be sensory overwhelm? And I'm just like, instantly I was like, nah, no, it's anxiety. But then, like, if I actually looked at it in that perspective, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I basically, similar to you, it will build up over a bit of time where I would start to feel, little things. And then I'd start to feel, it's almost like this fog around me.
Yeah.
I can't describe it. It's words can't describe that feeling of fogginess. And just feeling like everything is amplified, everything that is being done, like any sound just like triggers me so hard that it just reaches this point where I'm like, I need to get, like, wherever I am, I need to go home. I need to, like, and I can actually talk through it to a certain degree, but there is a point where I just don't want anyone to talk to me. Like, I just want to do this, whatever it is, on my own. Because I know that I could say anything or do anything and I don't have control over it. So it's a really scary thing. I don't relate to anyone who says that they either like, I guess meltdowns look different for everyone, but a lot of people say they either self-harm or they, hurt themselves or scream or anything like that. It's actually quite quiet for me. And I'm just sort of like internally trying to comprehend what's going on. And then afterwards, I'm like, oh yeah, I know what that was.
Yeah.
But it's so bizarre and I still can't describe it fully. Like, I don't think I've just done that justice because, yeah, I don't know. My heart races. I feel sick. I feel like I can't focus on anything. Yeah. Sorry, I'm probably rambling right now.
Like heavy, I get the heavy ceiling in my head, like that, you said that fog, like I explain there's like heaviness behind my eyes. It's just like everything's just, yeah, you do feel sick. And I've been testing this out with like workshops that I've been going to because that's really kind of the only major sensory, when there's lots of socializing going on, a lot of sensory things because I'm at home with, the kids, although being around kids 24/7 has an impact. But yeah, at the workshops now, like I'm starting to recognize that in myself when I'm starting to feel like that. And then I'm putting things in place for myself. Like I'm putting my loops in or I'm getting out some putty or something. And that's helping so much. Like that feeling that I get, it's starting to subside because I'm putting those things in for my place, in for myself. And I haven't felt like normally after workshops, I just want to go back to the hotel and do nothing and not talk to anyone and just be by myself. But putting those accommodations in for myself throughout, like I think last workshop I went to the shops afterwards. Woo!
That's awesome.
Yeah, I braved and I walked around for like an hour. And that
I need
never
to
like
do that.
Yeah, it's just I think it comes down to those recognizing what it looks like for you and putting those things in place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the accommodations I don't think of them at the time, but then afterwards I'm like, oh, I should have put my loops in. I should have, gotten out of that busy place. If I think back to all of my, what I deem anxiety attacks, but they're probably meltdowns, they always start when I'm in a place that's overcrowded and bright lights, loud noise, and almost never does it happen when I'm at home. So usually I'm trying to get out of there and get home before it erupts. And yeah, it's just a really hard thing to explain to people. Like my husband, very open to everything basically, but he struggles to understand what's going on in my brain at that time. Like he's a talker. Yeah. So he's like trying to talk me through it. And I'm like, I don't need that right now. I just need quiet. But yeah, I need to do that with the accommodations. Should we go on to another question? Sorry, that was a big question.
It was a big question.
Someone asked, how has life changed for you both since diagnosis? It's not been very long for me, so.
Yeah. For me, it's just that knowing about myself, I think is what's changed. I still have I still mask in certain situations. I still have that analyzing myself, but I have come far in the way like this is just who I am. Like I feel more authentic. I feel more, I think, just, sharing who I am. Like I'm on social media and things, I'm just no filter anymore.
Yeah.
And just not like it's just the way it is and I don't analyze it afterwards. Whereas before I would just do that and then go, oh my God, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said this. Whereas I'm not like that anymore. And same when I do workshops now, I just feel like I'm getting up in front of 60 people and just being myself. I don't feel like I'm putting on any airs or graces for anyone or anything. They just get me the way I am. And that's
really cool.
big for me.
Yeah. I guess I'm kind of earlier on in that, but I do feel like in the weeks after my diagnosis, I did feel some kind of shift in my mask dropping, if that's what people call it, where I kind of was out of control of it. Like I was being pretty blunt with people. I was saying it how it was, which is definitely not who I was before that. I was very much a people pleaser, and I still am. I still get anxiety around that, but I think I'm more okay to say exactly what comes to my mind. And that was kind of scary for me because I was like very fearful of what people would say. And, it's that whole like camouflaging to whoever you're with, basically, is what I used to do and still do to an extent. But that was slipping. And so it's like this whole like thing of discovering who you are without the mask. And I don't know who that is. So that's kind of scary to me. Really scary. Should we do one more question maybe? Someone's asked, why am I struggling with my PDA diagnosis more than my autistic and ADHD one? It's very hard to answer because we don't know who you are. But yeah, I guess,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe because PDA is something that you wouldn't expect from this journey. I don't know. I don't know how to
I think
answer that.
maybe they need to analyze what they actually think PDA is, or the, those ableist ideas is what I'm thinking of. Because for me, I think that's where I struggle with the ADHD part, because of that, the information that you get fed, that stereotypical view of ADHD and that those ableist views. And everyone, I think, has internalized ableism, especially when you're diagnosed late, because you grow up trying to work out what's wrong and right and what's good and not good for you to do. So you create those, you draw those lines for yourself. And even if you look at other people and you don't think about, you think that of others, like you don't think that of your kids, for instance, you probably still think about it like that for yourself.
Yeah,
That makes Yeah.
that does make sense. I think it's probably something that we can't really unpack for you, but yeah, I think that was probably the same as what we were talking about when we didn't suspect ADHD, but, I wouldn't say just autism, but singular autism diagnosis
Yeah.
is what we were expecting. And then ADHD came in with the swoop and was like, no, you're ADHD as well. So I think that's how I can relate to that question is, I guess I did kind of struggle with that because I was like, for sure I don't have ADHD. And then now you live a life knowing that diagnosis, you kind of come to terms with that. So I think now that you know you have PDA, you can now live your life with that view and that perspective, and it kind of helps you, really.
Yeah.
Makes things make sense.
Yeah. It's a journey. Unpacking, unpacking, unpacking.
Yeah.
And then when I say that, I like picture a bag, like literally unpacking, and then you're like, oh, I didn't know that was in there. Unpacking, unpacking. And that's like
And
you
it's
think you know
bottomless.
what's in the bag, and then you start unraveling, you're like, wow, I didn't know that was there.
And it's the Mary Poppins bag. It'll never end. And I don't think we'll ever get to a day where we're fully like understanding everything. It's going to be a process
Of ourselves or our kids. I think context and everything, like life changes, and you just think you're getting your head around things and understand it all, and then something changes and you're back to the start.
Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? I'm just looking at this self-care quote that I pulled up, and I'm looking at it and I'm kind of not wanting to say it because it's very hard, but I'll say it anyway. It says, take the time to love yourself, do something that you love, you deserve it. And whenever I hear quotes like that, I'm like, well, how is that even possible? Like with our lifestyle and everything. So I guess me saying that quote to you all is, those types of quotes and feelings, take them with a grain of salt, alter them to fit your lifestyle. So if it means, you can't take the time for yourself today, make sure you do something to love yourself today, whether that be, I don't know, facial mask or, eating your favorite meal or something simple that will make you happy, despite the lacking time that you have.
Yeah. And if you don't have time for extras, get back to basics. Is like I always think, okay, have I eaten something today? Have I had something to drink today? Because Sometimes you just don't, it's just, picking those little things. And that's why I say that is self-care, like doing those little things for yourself, even though that's not, people say things like, oh, basic hygiene is not self-care. Well, for some people that is. If you don't get to meet that basic hygiene need because of your situation and then one day you do, that's your self-care for the day.
Yeah. I remember
Rather than-
craving a shower, and it just never happened because when my husband worked away for a couple of days, simple things like that, they just made you feel so much better when you got to them. So don't feel ashamed if that is your self-care goal for today, because it's very real and very important. So thank you all for listening in, and let us know your thoughts on any of the answers we've given today, particularly, I guess, the adult meltdowns that we spoke about today. We'll put a few posts up on social media for you guys to leave your feedback. But we'll see you guys
I really appreciated the questions.
Yeah, it was good to hear what people want to hear about.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.